Hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on MisplacedStraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today was actually one of the first handful of people I ever interviewed way back when this site started, and we've talked a bunch of times since then. He's back now with bandmates Ian Crichton from Saga on guitar and Nigel Glockler from Saxon on drums in their band Six by Six. They're about to release their second album called Beyond Shadowland on April 26th. Please welcome back Robert Berry. Welcome, Robert.
Hey, Jeff, thanks. That was 1926 the first time we talked.
Yeah, it feels like it. It was a different world before the pandemic.
Yeah, really, yeah.
It was by phone and
Yeah, yeah, crazy.
Now, I mean, there's so much I want to talk about with this record, but let's start with the sound. It feels much heavier than the first one.
Very good.
Ian's guitar is the star of this record, but that kind of propulsion that you and Nigel provide really drives this heavier sound than the first record. Was that
Yeah.
intentional to kind of add to your sound?
You know, the first intention was the first album did so well. And of course, we were happy about that.
Mhm.
But that puts a little pressure on you because a lot of times a sophomore effort by a band, they do the same album twice, right? And so, hey, Journey, that's the album. The next album sounded just like with different songs. And I love Journey, don't get me wrong. Um, we talked about it, said we don't want to make the same album twice. What are we going to do? And of course, with me, after working with Steve Howe and Keith Emerson, we got one of a kind in the band, Ian Crichton, and we need to feature that more. But I think we need to be heavier. We need to get more power. We're planning on touring this year, so we got to get that really powerful. It's all guitar, and you can't do that unless you have a drummer that can really play to the song and give Ian the freedom. So Nigel was right there. Nigel can play all the fancy bits he wants all day long, but he knows how to lock it down so that we could make this album tougher, let's say. So that was sort of the plan, although we just do what we do naturally. But that was the thought behind it. Don't make the same album twice.
When talking about the record, I'm looking through the press materials that came in, and you had a quote that just stopped me in my tracks because I think you could apply it to anything in life, but where you mentioned that it's easier to fix an idea than to get one.
Yeah.
How did that mantra kind of push this record forward?
I have a studio here. I produce people. I'm doing music 24/7 all the time. In fact, when I'm in the car, the radio, whatever, it's off. I don't listen to music at all because I get so much of it. And a lot of times the artists come in and they say, well, we got this song, but I don't have anything else. And I sort of developed this. Well, I know you got something, and they play me a little something. Well, there it is. What's wrong with that? Well, it's not quite good enough. Well, fix it. And I thought, well, there it is. You can fix an idea, but it's hard to get it. And sometimes I have to pull it out of somebody. When we did the first two songs, usually these start, Ian will send me some incredible little guitar riff. I go, oh my God. Oh. And with some silly title, which we can talk about too, because a lot of times I can't change it by the time the song's done, even though it has nothing to do with the lyrics of the song, right? And he sent me a couple things. I went, wow, I can do something with this. Okay, so I started. And I sent it to him. Well, here's the first part of a song because I do the melodies. I glue them together, right? And he calls me. He goes, on Zoom actually, just like you and I are talking. It's not as good as the last album. I said, I know. I don't. I know why. He goes, why? Because you haven't worked on it again. What we did in the first album, we went back and forth as writers. Like you could be here in the room or on Zoom. I got my guitars here. You have guitars there. It's almost like being in person, right? So when we write, it feels live. It feels in real time. It is in real time. I said, well, you haven't worked on it again. He goes, oh, yeah, I guess so. You need to fix this idea, right? So he does a little bit, send it back to me. I went, And I wanted to call him and say, not as good as the first album. I thought, no, now it's my turn. What am I going to do with this? Both songs all of a sudden came together. I sent it back. He goes, well, these are great. It's almost like the songs that they were, he had forgotten about. These are new songs, right? And at that point, we were launched and the creativity was flowing. And we sort of let the pressure of the first album doing so well, that gray cloud that was over us, like, oh, we got to meet the expectations. We sort of left it behind.
Mhm.
And we said, well, we got two that are really, we feel are good.
Mhm.
So,
What were those first two that kicked off this project?
I have to look, let me, actually, I have
Mm.
I gotta look at it because, we're working on a third album right now. So, I
Oh,
mean,
very
just at the
nice.
very
Yeah.
early stages of it, but it does mess me up because I do so much music.
Mm.
Um, it wasn't Obilex, although I
Yeah.
had that, which is the new single, which
Yep.
one of my favorites. I also got two
Yeah.
songs from Nigel, by the way, and one of those songs, Titan, is one of the band's favorites. Spectre was
Mhm.
one of them,
Yeah.
which again we thought would be the first single. We like it. We thought, oh, this could be the first
Mm.
single. It's really powerful. Record company said, nope, we're going to use,
Mm.
okay. And then they said, and Obelix. I went, what? A slow one? Oh yeah. And they were so right. Anyway, I
Yeah.
won't go on, but Spectre was one of the first ones. I
Yeah.
won't go
Yeah.
down the list here for the next one. But
Well, yeah, and I love talking to you about your lyrics because I'm just forever amazed by them. And I always think that the best song is specific enough to make a point, but vague enough where everyone could see themselves in it.
yeah,
And one thing I love about this record is I think you could pick any kind of group of songs. I mean, for example, Arms of the World, One Step, and Sympathize. Cause, effect, solution. And I think every song on this record kind of fits into one of those categories of being, a cause of a problem or the results of a problem or how to get over it. And I love kind of mixing and matching the songs to fit that cause effect solution idea.
that's interesting because, as we just said, it's easier to fix an idea than to get one. So this is about fixing, right? Kind of about fixing. I will say that on the first record, Ian especially liked what he called when the lyrics get a little more psychedelic. And what he
Mhm.
means is exactly what you're saying, where different people can read different things into like the song Titans. It's
Mhm.
not about the strongest in the world. It's actually about the silent of the world. That's a pretty strong base of people that are just trying to live happy lives, and they make a difference every day in some way. So, but a lot of people, even Ian himself, says, "Oh, I don't think of it that way at all. I think of it the strong, the Titans, right? They're gonna." So, okay.
Yeah. Well, everyone sees it differently. And I think there's also a category of just very empowering songs on this record. Only You Can Decide, The Mission,
Mm.
even outside looking in. It's like, okay, something is going to happen in life, but what are you going to do about it? And that's where I think the strength of this record comes in.
That's really cool. I appreciate that. I don't struggle with the lyrics, but
Mm.
I spent a lot of time thinking about them.
Mm.
And again, more on the first album, things were maybe more complete thoughts. Where hey, this is what it's about. This one, I wanted to make sure that it had exactly what you're saying, which makes me very happy because I think I've achieved that by not being so pinpointed,
Right.
which is an odd thing, because you go, well, like the title Spectre doesn't really mean anything. It's not in the
Mm.
song,
Mm.
but it's a spectacle, I mean, it works. Somewhat, I don't know how it works, but you get it and you connect with the emotion and the feel of why it was done. And that's the gig, let's
Yeah.
say, you know? Yeah.
And kind of changing gears a bit.
Yeah.
I've talked with a lot of established artists like the three of you who form a new band. And unfortunately, it's not like when you're a kid and you can just go out there and you have years to get this band to work.
Yeah.
It seems like the business decides if the band is a success, not the quality of the product.
Yeah.
You mentioned you guys did really well with the first record. There's a great buzz with this record. Does it feel like the momentum is there for this band to meet whatever your definition of success is?
Mm. uh the reason I'm still doing it and still uh try to work at my highest level is because I probably will never reach my definition of
Mhm.
success if it's an always changing goalpost.
Yeah.
My dream would be like the guy I play with in town here, Greg Kinn. He had 2, 3 big
Mhm.
hits. Every summer you go out to play, 20 gigs to the people that want to relive those hits. And that dream won't happen for me. But more importantly now, that dream, that goalpost has changed to leaving, I'll call it a legacy in music behind of quality and something that means something to people, where maybe it won't be the time in their life that it timestamps that time, but the meaning, like you said, of the songs and what it does applies to how they're feeling right now. So that's my success, which you've made me feel very successful today, just with what you're the I'll just complain a little bit. You know, the first album, way beyond expectations. It really did well. People loved it. But then the record company, they just let it go after that. These record companies have windows. And I looked at all the record companies. Well, they all do the same thing. You get your 3 months of, they'll put stuff in, then you're on your own. Well, we weren't ready to tour last year. So we wanted to get a second album out before that. So the momentum just went away. So when we did this release, I'm like, God, we got to start from zero. Well, evidently we didn't start from zero, because people jumped on it right away. So they didn't forget us, but we need to keep climbing that ladder. The only way to do it is to play live. We have 3 shows booked, 2 in Germany, 1 in Netherlands for the anchor dates. They're going to fill in a bunch more. We're hoping to come to the US for a couple things. So I think that next step is happening. It's going to be a very, very difficult step for this band, as we're going to try to remain a 3-piece, which means I have to do everything Geddy Lee does. And I'm a big fan of his. I don't know how he does it, but keyboards, bass, I got to do that. But then again, Ian has never played more guitar in anything he's done. This sound is all him. Nigel, the beauty of Nigel is he has that feel. A lot of drummers can play stuff. They don't have a feel. There's not that. John Bonham could just go boom, chit, boom, chit, and it felt like, oh my God, how does he do that? Nigel's got that thing, and that's going to come across live in a much bigger way. So I'm excited about it. But again, like you said, our success will be determined by the tour we do, and that by the time we go out September, October, we have half a third album sort of in the can, at least songwriting wise, because we're actually surfing on this momentum we're getting right now with like a big smile, and some energy that's bringing to life some new ideas. So.
And speaking of touring, the last time we talked, when you guys were thinking about heading out for the first record, you had mentioned how there was a little bit of a disagreement in the band. You wanted to revisit your collective pasts. Ian wanted to focus more on 6x6. Now that you have 2 full records and a lot of music out there, have you guys thought about putting together a set list yet? Is it going to include some stuff from the past, or?
Before he won't even talk to me. No, we're not going to, we can't. Now I said, if we were to do Arms of a Word, and at the end, Arms of a Word, dun, da 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 da, and we just do the riff and end it. I said, crowd would go nuts, right? He goes, I like that idea. So I'm making inroads, little ones. Now, Saxon, I don't know the material as well, but there's got to be their biggest song that we could take a riff from that people will know. And we're going to have an audience from all those draws, the Emerson, Lake and Palmer people that I, have as fan base. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Now, this band, I always think that the visual aspect is also an important part of what you guys do. Your videos have always been striking. The cover art, like we see behind you, has been fantastic on both records. Do you look at it visually when you're creating, or is that after you look at what you created and come up with a visual?
It's definitely after. The album covers are designed and presented, even the album title, by Rob Fowler, who's done all my stuff, my website, everything forever. He is so embedded in not just the success, but the feel of this band. And he came up with Beyond Shadowland. He goes, look, first album, put those little guys in the sidecar and stuff. Who know who you were? These guys, whatever. I just did some art, and it made something compelling. People go, what is this? But this time, with the success of the first album, you're coming out of the shadows, right? And we're actually on the cover. There's little, you can see it way back there, at the far corner. That's us. And we're coming out of the shadows. Got this airplane, which has a set of numbers on it, which somebody's going to figure out what that is. And people have said, so what's the next one going to be, on a train? What do you on a? It's up to Rob. Rob decides those, and he does such great work that we go, oh my God, what a beautiful cover. We're in. Record company, management, band, we all go, whoa, this guy is so embedded in the feel and the look. To answer more of the question, I have no idea live what we're going to do for as projections and stuff. If anything, we might go up there like the Beatles and just say, here's the music, guys, this is our first time. What do you think? And something inside of me says that being a three-piece, the people are going to want to see a band that's working really hard, and they don't want the distractions. They want to see it played, want to see how we pull it off. And the rest of it is more like a show that maybe they wouldn't be interested in as much, at least with this band right now. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do not know.
It's along the lines of the visual. For the first record, you guys also did kind of a graphic novel tied with it.
Yes.
Any ideas to do anything to tie in this record, or you're just going to have the music stand on its own this time?
I started on a graphic novel, and what was odd with the first album is the songs were all written. We were recording them, everything. And JC, the graphic novelist, got a hold of me, said, I'd really want to work with you on something. I said, well, I got this new thing. And we decided to do this graphic novel. And he goes, so what's the story? I went, story? Oh, there's like 9 songs, are all individual. And I said, give me a couple days. And a story just fell together. And I went, wow. Now this one, as I'm writing the songs, I'm trying to think about a story, and it's part of that stifling at the beginning. I just, a song is a song, and it means something at the time. It's a place and time, a place and space. It's a mark of that day, how you feel, whatever it is. It can't be, oh, in a graphic novel story, how would that fit? At least for me. So once I cut that loose, and we had a few images and a few ideas on a story, when I cut it loose is when the song ideas really started flowing. So I'm not sure. We still want to do one. I want to do another one, but right now with the tour and everything, all the plans, and I want to do it though. I mean, I think we need a second one,
And so this record comes out on April 26th. Hopefully we'll get you guys on the road. Any other projects you're working on, anything with Alliance or any of your other bands?
Yeah, 6x6. Honestly, even though Saga's still playing, Nigel's out with Saxon right now.
Yep.
This is a real band. We want it to be a band that takes over the other things. Other things become the part-time performance things, and this is the real touring thing. If that happens or not, we need to prove ourselves to make that happen. But I do have an Alliance album. We have 16 songs, 10 of them finished, and we want 12. I don't want to interfere with the momentum of this by putting that out. So I have that going. The studio is really busy right now, and I wish it wasn't. It's always busy. I say that all the time. It's booked 5 days a week. I'm in the studio, and I have to cut out clients to do my stuff, the 6x6 stuff. Alliance is done, just about. But it will probably be after end of this year, maybe it goes out. We're not sure with record company, or if we might do it ourselves this time, because the record companies give you a 3-month window. They get you interviews. I can get a hold of you and say, Jeff,
anytime, you know that.
Yeah, Gary Peel wants to talk to you. You go, yeah, put him on,
Gary's actually been on this site, I believe, with the last Alliance record. So,
yeah.
Well, we've been spending some time here with Robert Berry. The band is 6x6. The record is called Beyond Shadowland. It's out everywhere on April 26th. It's another great record. If you like the first one, this one is above and beyond, I believe. I think you guys gel as a band on this record, and it shows. So,
and we do exactly what we want to do. No one is saying, I wish you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
We do what we do. And I guess we're seasoned enough to know how to make the parts fit, the puzzle fit together, I should say. So, I appreciate that, because we feel, as much as we didn't feel with the writing of those first 2 songs, we feel we've come to the next step in the sound and the style of the band. It's, like I say, a little heavier, which is good, I think, for our wider audience, you know, like Rush wasn't a progressive band, but they're accepted by progressive people. They were sort of a pop rock almost. I mean, whatever they were, you know, I don't know what they were, but that's where we are. We're a rock band that has progressive leanings, and I think this album shows that even more. Well, and your testament there is fantastic. Thank you.
Well, best of luck, and I hope we catch you on the road here in the States a little later this year.
That's the plan. But that was the plan last time too. The plan last time, we had 5 dates booked, and in between were like a week. You can't tour with a week of hotels and crew and truck and all that. Too expensive. This time, the first 3 are closer together, so that gives us a good anchor. Anyway, Jeff, it's always good to see you. I appreciate your time.
You as well.
All
Good
right,
luck
man.
with the record.
Later.
Yeah, bye.